Alright, hello. So this is your second video, and this is just a review about factoring a trinomial when the leading coefficient is 1, right? So remembering the structure, we have ax squared plus bx plus c. Remembering whenever I'm referring to the a value is the leading coefficient. Okay, so that's the leading coefficient. So here we want to factor. So we would factor each polynomial and be sure your answer is in factored form. So we have the same directions. The only difference is we have a trinomial and it's a quadratic because it's raised to the second power. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and do our first step here where you set up a box. Okay, and so my x squared, that's my first term, it's going to go in the top left, and my constant, which is positive 16, I'm going to write on the bottom right corner of my box. So remembering that the diagonal here has to add up to negative 10x. So make sure you have positive and negative because that, if you don't have your signs, that's definitely an area where you could mess up. So right, so step one is to create your box. Okay. All right, so now we got to figure out what are the two values that would go here to add up to negative 10, right? So remembering that we need to create a product and sum chart, okay? So we have to think about recalling how do we find the product, right? So remember, when the leading coefficient is 1, a is always going to be 1 when we're working with these kind of trinomials. So that 1 is right in front of that x squared. So we're going to multiply 1 times our constant. So 1 times 16 is just 16. So if I can go ahead, I'll just do this. So 1 times 16 gives us 16. So positive 16. And then here, how do we find what number we need to add up to? That is this negative 10 here. So I'm going to put negative 10 right there. So negative 10. Right, so I got to think about what two numbers multiply to give me 16, but add to give us negative 10. Okay, so I list the factors of 16. So I have, let's see, 8 times 2. I know that gives me 16, so what is 8 plus 2? Well, that gives me positive 10, so that doesn't work. Well, what about negative 8 times negative 2? That gives me positive 16. So then if I add a negative 8 and a negative 2, that does give me negative 10, so that works. So I can go ahead and place these numbers. I can go ahead and place negative 8 and negative 2 into these sections of my box. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll write negative 8, and since it's the x middle term, we're going to put negative x, and then negative 2x. Now remember, it doesn't matter if they're positioning here when a equals 1, but it does when a is greater than 1. So here we can go ahead and problem solve and figure out what are the factors. And I think in class I've used consistently blue and yellow on the side as your factors, or I'll just use this one, right? So we're going to figure out what are the factors that we put on the side, right? So here we have x times x will give me x squared. What times x gives me negative 8x? Well, negative 8. Negative 8 times what will give me 16? Positive, or oops, it should be, well, I feel like I'm going to erase everything now. Okay. Should be negative 2. Okay. So then here you check your last box. X times negative 2 gives me negative 2x. That works. So my factors are x minus 8 and x minus 2. Right? So essentially 3 steps to this. So 1, you want to create a box. 2, you want to create a table. And then 3, you want to make sure your answer is in factored form. All right, so let's look on to the second example. Same type of process, but different trinomial. Okay, so I'm going to follow my steps here. I'm going to create my box. So I'm going to write t squared. It's my first term, and then positive 33. And then here, my middle terms need to add up to positive 34t. Okay, so I need to figure out what are those values, or what are those terms that need to add up to give me positive 34t. So I'm going to create my product and sum chart. And all right, so then remembering that I'm going to multiply that leading coefficient, which is 1. 1 times positive 33 is just 33. And then what I need to find out what number it adds up to. I know it needs to add up to positive 34. So that's going to be positive 34. Oops, positive 34. Okay, so then in this case, we can list the factors of 33. Well, there's only one option, or two options. I can do 1 times 33, or I can do 3 times 11. That will give me positive 33. Let's go ahead and add them. So 1 plus 33 equals 34. That seems to work. If you want to check this one, we can do 3 plus 11. That gives me 14. That doesn't work. Okay, so again, we can select 1 and 33 as the values that will go into our box here. Okay, it doesn't matter the position. You can put 33 here or 1 here. I'm going to put 1x there, and then positive 33x here. That will, or the variable is not x. The variable is t. All right. Okay. So 1t and then 33t, and I went ahead, and that was orange. Okay. All right. So then in this case, what two variables multiply give me t squared? Well, I know that's a t and a t. And then what times t will give me 1t, positive 1, and then t, or 1 times what will give me positive 33? Well, just positive 33. So those are my factors, x plus 1, and then t plus 3, right? So that is my last and final step. So making sure my answer is in factored form. So I have a t plus 1 and a t plus 33. That's my answer. Eventually, this box method and this t-chart will be your scratch work that you'll do on the side, and at the very end, you'll have your factors as your final answer. Okay? All right, so go ahead and try this problem. This should be the option for you to do at the end of this video. So complete that and see where you stand, and then go ahead and move on to Delta Math, video 2, practice, and finish that and move on to your last video, which is video 3. All right, that's it. Bye.